Okay, we're going live like in 2.2 seconds.
Looks like it's live currently.
Yeah. Mhm.
Good morning, everybody. It is 9:37, but we are here. And so we got 23 minutes to have a fabulous conversation. And Jessica Renard is back with us today. So welcome back, Jess. It's so nice to have you back. And so we're going to let you lead the conversation this morning and we're going to jump right in. So, hey,
Sure.
yeah, what should we talk about today?
So I'm actually reading a really great book. I just have gotten to the first chapter. It's called "It's Not Me, It's You: Break the Blame Cycle, Relationship Better." It is actually by two people, John Kim and Vanessa Bennett, who are in a relationship with each other and are both therapists. So it's talking about how theoretically dating a therapist means that you're dating somebody that has all of these tools and knowledge and amazing things to help benefit the relationship, but they're still human and bring all of their trauma and all of their bad habits and all of their insecurities into the relationship. And so that just doesn't make it magically better.
Yeah, as all my boyfriends have figured out.
So after the first chapter, she talks about like how to be authentic in relationships and have those little moments where was there something that you thought of that you didn't say, or you didn't want to say something that rocked the boat, or how are you being inauthentic?
Yeah. I do want to talk about that dynamic real quick of being a therapist in the room doing therapy versus being a person in a relationship and how it's two completely different skill sets. And it's funny because I usually talk about that in my career, I've probably had like two people ask like, are you single or are you married? And how can you counsel married people when you're single? Because they are completely different things. And so as a therapist, when I'm in my chair, I'm looking at these two people, I'm looking at the system, I'm trying to figure out, okay, who's triggering who, what is this hitting on for that person? Why is it so important? How do they keep misconnecting with communication? And like all of these things. And so it's almost like I'm looking at this gigantic kind of emotional puzzle and trying to figure out how do I make this a cohesive, functional, like working system. Sometimes it feels kind of like taking the car drawing. You see the commercials where they like draw the car and then it's on the road. Like it feels like that's what we're supposed to do. When you're an individual in a relationship, you are the car that is being worked on. You are not the mechanic. You are the person who's trying to almost do a self-diagnostic. And is it me? Is it them? Is it me? Is it them? Why did I get so upset right there? I don't even know who I am. And so very, 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 very different perspective. And so this week particularly, I feel like all of my clients have been struggling to be their authentic self in their relationships. And I feel like that's really important because what I've experienced historically being a therapist, watching people is when they're not their authentic selves, they can only keep up or deal with that for so long. And then there's a huge blow up if they're that type of person to blow up, or there's this sudden disengagement. Like, I can't do this anymore. And the partner's like, what happened? What do you mean you can't do this anymore? You've never complained about anything. And they're like, well, I'm done. And you've never paid attention to me or respected me. You never said that. I didn't know. And so I hate when that happens to people. So I'm always encouraging people to be authentic in their relationships. And so it's kind of like a job. I would never want a job to just walk up to you one day and say, you're fired. I would want them to walk up and be like, okay, like you're fired now. And you'd be like, yeah, I know. Like, yeah, because we've had a conversation about it, because you wrote me up about this, because we had another conversation before you said if it happens one more time. And and so that's what I wanted to be like in a relationship as well, like that transparent. Like I know the thing that my partner loves about me. I also know the things that we're working on so that my partner can stay in a relationship with me. So, okay, I'm doing a lot of talking. So Jessica Addison, jump in. And then we'll throw it back to Jessica Renard whenever you get finished.
Yeah, I really feel like I've been telling a lot of my clients recently how individuality is very important in a relationship
Yeah.
because we have a lot of clients who say we're one, we're best friends, we finish each other's sentences, and they are trying to find where they got lost in that. And I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes when even breakups occur, they feel like they lose a piece of themselves because they kind of replace who they were into this one unit and they put everything within, I guess, all their eggs in one basket to where when something falls apart, they feel like they lost a piece of them. But it wasn't a piece of them, it was just something that they kind of conformed into. And it's something that I learned kind of like a fantasy bond. So a lot of clients who are trying to rebuild themselves and seeing if they can love again or things of that nature, they've attached love to one particular person based on their experience. So they never had their own kind of definition because they tied it to one person. So kind of when you have your own mind about things and your own individuality, you can never lose yourself because you never give one that much power over you.
I get that. That's great. Did you say the word fantasy bond?
Fantasy bond,
Fantasy?
yes. And
I
fantasy
love
bond is
learning
like
from you guys. I haven't heard that term before. Tell me more. What's a
fantasy
fantasy bond?
bond is say I have a client who doesn't know she can love again because when she thinks about love, she thinks about a failed relationship. So it might be your first experience with something. So you attach every milestone, like falling in love, moving in, or even getting married to a certain person, to where you're stuck in that fantasy of what that is based on a certain experience you have with that person. So when you break that fantasy bond, that love can be more than what I've experienced. I had a failed marriage, but I can be open to love and marriage again once I find somebody who gives me another experience so I can attach another kind of like element or detail to what I thought it was. I can break the fantasy of what I've been through.
That's good. Oh my God, that's so good. That oh wow, I don't even know what to say. I'm so excited. Okay, but I think what I want to happen next
Mhm.
is Jessica, you had some Jessica Renard, Jess. You had some research on like what makes a good relationship and what we should be looking for. And I think that's like a perfect segment to educate people. So we don't want the fantasy bond of
Right.
just it's all tied into this one person. It's such a fantasy. But what really should we be looking for in a committed relationship? So we're trying to live authentically and
Yeah.
then we need to what are we looking for in a partner?
Sure. So I think a lot of times people are like, "Oh, well, I can't be with a partner if they're not at least 5'10." I'm like, "Really?
Yeah, really,
Really?"
really.
And that I hear that. So I'm also a matchmaker. I hear that from people who are 5'2". And I'm like, "How often do you wear 8-inch heels, honey?" Like, I'm sorry, but like that is not realistic. And if he's 5'10", does that mean that he takes care of you when you're upset? Does that
Mm,
mean that he's there to support you when you have a bad day? Your
yeah,
height has nothing to do with that. Nothing. And so what we really need to look for, like, and this is taking it from another book I read called The 8 Rules of Love, is do you enjoy spending time with them? Do
yes.
you like
Mhm.
that is what you're looking for on a first date is do you just enjoy this person
Yeah.
enough, not perfect, not sparks, not, oh my God, I want to run away to Vegas, but like, are you just not wanting to stab yourself with a fork at the end of the thing? Like, that's it. Like, it doesn't need to be butterflies. It doesn't need to be magic and everything gilded with gold. It's, do you
Yeah.
not want to stab yourself? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like I could do that again and it not be the
Mm-hmm.
worst thing in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Because it takes multiple experiences with someone to find out who
Yeah.
they are. You're not going
Yeah.
to have the whole person in 3 hours. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what type of in depth interviewing you're doing, which you shouldn't be interviewing somebody on a date. But like, it doesn't matter what questions you come up with. It doesn't matter that there's this one
Yeah.
question. Someone that you have more facets. You wouldn't want someone to feel like they know you completely in 3 hours. Don't
Yeah.
assume that you know them completely in 3 hours,
Yeah.
even if you're spending 3 hours on that date.
Oh wow. That's really,
Yeah.
really good. That's really good. I always want people, I want you watching character over time. Like, how are they handling their world? How are they handling their stress? How are they handling their family? Because if you're looking at them as a potential partner, maybe even a marital partner, you're going to become their family. So how do they feel about their family and handle their family? Because you'll become their family, and that transition from lover to family member, for some people it works really smoothly, for some people not so much, because when my lover becomes my family, they can also sometimes take on all of the baggage that comes with my family, and how I feel about my family, and that can show up in the relationship. And so I think I'm saying that in a very politically correct way, but so let me tell you how to actually would show up in a relationship. You sound like my mom. You're talking to me like you're my dad. You act like you own me. Like, act like, and so that's the way it's gonna come up when your lover becomes your family.
Or like Jessica was saying that, like, well, my mom did this for me. My mom always cooked for my dad, or my mom always did the laundry. Honey, I am not your mother. Like,
yeah. That's so funny. I don't know about this one. I read it in a book, or I had this as a real life couple. I don't know. But there was this one couple who the guy grew up and his mom loved gardening and taking care of the yard. And so she took care of the yard. It could have even been one of you guys' faces. And then the woman grew up in the household where her dad took care of the yard. And so now that they're married and they're both expecting the other person to take care of the yard, and nobody's taking care of the yard, and they're both mad at the other person because you're supposed to be taking care of the yard. And so
hire someone to take care of the yard. That is how you solve this. Like, just pay for a lawn guy.
Think about like expectations, and this is the way my family worked, and so therefore you're supposed to work this way. And we do it in so many different ways, and we don't even realize it. Because a lot of things about marital expectation, relationship expectations, you don't even know that you have them or what they are until they don't get met. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I never said that to you out loud, And it could be something simple like, well, in my family growing up, we always had cake and ice cream for my birthday, and you didn't give me cake and ice cream for my birthday, so you didn't celebrate my birthday. And the person's like, I took you on a cruise for your birthday. I don't understand how you feel like I didn't celebrate your birthday. But you didn't give me cake and ice cream. And so, oh, okay. For you to feel celebrated on your birthday, you need cake and ice cream. You didn't verbalize that to me. You're right. I didn't even realize that myself, that was core to me feeling celebrated, because that's the way in my family we celebrate. And so there's so many little things like that of expectations that you just don't know you have until they don't get met. Like, just little things. It never occurs to you that somebody could do it differently until you're in a relationship and it's being done differently. And so make sure we're understanding that and interpreting that through an appropriate lens of, like, they do love me and they would like to do things for me, and they just need to know what the things are. So,
and also, Natalie, a phrase that people might not know holds that concept is when they first meet someone, they're like, what do you want in a relationship? Oh, I want a relationship like my parents. They've been married for 30 years and blah, blah, blah. They don't know who your parents are. You don't know what all your parents went through. You guys are in two different spectrums, two different ages, two different times. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to mirror anyone's relationship. You make your relationship work for you. So there's something unconsciously they might not know that they're doing. You can't have mommy and daddy's relationship.
Well, in addition to which, what they're probably wanting is not even that relationship, but how that relationship made them feel cared for as a child.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, and they weren't in the room for those adult conversations. Yeah, they just saw the aftermath of the parents getting along and the longevity of being together for 30 or 40 years.
Mm-hmm. What they see on the surface, it's like, oh well, I want the same relationship that Ben Affleck and J-Lo have. That is the same insight that you're having to your parents' relationship.
Yeah, they know the glory, but they don't know the story of what happened.
Right? Oh my God, that's such a good one. Jessica Addison, you just coming up with the graceful terms today. They know what you say. They know
the glory, but they don't know the story.
Golly, that's a good one.
Everybody, like, I think I talked to my parents of how Everybody loves, like, if you go to church, they love to hear the testimony of how somebody made it through and all this kind of stuff. But you can currently be in front of somebody who is in their testimony and going through their struggle, and people can be so judgmental. They love it. They love a good story, a good before and after, the rags to riches. But some people, you got to be in there when the rags are being worked on for the riches. They don't want to stay for that.
Right.
You get yourself together, you come back when you're ready.
Like, you were not there when the rags actually were my clothes and they turned into rags. And we had to put them together. That's so good. That's so good. I always, because you kind of because a lot of couples are thinking that another couple has it all together. And so one of the things that I haven't read Michelle Obama's book, but I could be misquoting that. But what I'm hearing via like shorts on YouTube is that she says, like, Barack and I, because they're a couple that looks very fabulous together, right? When they dress up, oh my God, they are a gorgeous couple. We can all acknowledge they are a gorgeous couple. But I've loved that she said it was 10 years in there when I didn't like him, and so, like, I think that's a perfect example of how this couple can look so perfect and have everything together and then it not be good on the inside. So I also want to tell that to all of these couples who are out here thinking somebody else has it better than they do. Like, you don't know really the inside of that. And a couple of my colleagues have a joke, or they told me, kind of some college, they would, Natalie, the more perfect a couple looks in the lobby, the more problems they have. So if you ever have Ken and Barbie sitting in your lobby, you just need to take a deep breath and know that it's going to be a lot. And that is so interesting.
Yeah, I saw a great quote by Adam Grant talking about how comparison is not the thief of joy, envy is. So, like, you can compare and take things and, like, okay, what are they doing? What are we doing better? And leave it at that. But when you start, I want what they have, that's when we get into envy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And the thing is, you never know how they got to what they have. And even I think I just had this realization, like, within the last year, like, so let's talk about work ethic and motivation. Okay. Because, like, oh my God, I wish I had their work ethic. I wish they had their motivation. Okay. Their motivation came that when they were 5 and they were homeless and sleeping in a car, they promised when they grow up that they would never have to sleep in a car again. That's why they're up at 5 a.m. every morning and they work 80 hours a week. Did you want to, is that what you wanted? You wanted to be homeless as a child and hungry to get the motivation that they have? Okay. Let's just get clear on where it came from and were you willing to do that? Because you can go get homeless and get right there, and I bet you'll get some motivation with that. And so just kind of really understanding when we're looking at a person, we don't know how they got there. Like, when we're looking at a couple, we don't know how they got there. Even when we're looking at our partners, sometimes we don't know the full story of how they got there. And so every day, I won't say every day, but a lot of days I'm working with couples and they'll look at each other like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Well, I didn't know that about you. Well, I didn't know that about you. And so it's ongoing and learning. So I think, and because we're still learning about ourselves. So bringing it back around to, like, being personally authentic and standing in your truth. Please stand in your truth. As hard as it is, and as scared as you are that if I stand in my complete truth, this person's gonna leave. They may leave. I got to be honest with you. They could possibly leave. Like, I can't sugarcoat it and promise you they won't, because that'll be the one case that does. But I don't know if you're gonna be happy if you're not in your truth 5 years, 10 years down the line, if you feel like you've created a whole life where you're living a lie. And so some people can do it and then they just kind of die miserable. But more and more, it feels like people can't do it. They can't do it. And I think it's the younger generations. I think that baby boomer generation and the generation before them, I think just kind of the way they were raised, this is the way it was supposed to be, makes it easier for them to say, yeah, I'm just going to do what I need to do to get it done. Yeah. But I think younger generations who are much more about living happily, and they feel like they're seeing all the people on YouTube live happily, and all of the reality shows live happily. It's creating this discontentment. And so if you are one of those people, please live your authentic self now.
Well, and I
Please.
think it's the difference between
Yeah.
like surviving and thriving.
Mm.
Like you can survive something. Do you want to survive your relationship? Do you like
Yeah. Yeah, definitely so. Okay. All right. Last words.
I think going into like kind of again what another version of the fantasy story in the it's me, it's not you. She talks about projection of like I'm gonna see the things that I want to see, I'm gonna ignore the things that I don't want to see, until it's too late and it causes problems. And so while you're being authentic, don't view this person with blinders on. Like they're gonna have flaws, they're gonna have issues just like you do.
Yeah.
And so like come to it with like, okay, this is what I genuinely have to offer. I am seeing these things that you genuinely have to offer. Like, can we make a go of this?
Yeah.
Versus adding all of these things that may not.
I think one of the things that I've also like, when I have a couple sit down and somebody's just like, my perfect wife, my perfect husband, can you take them off that pedestal before they fall?
Exactly.
Before they fall and hurt themselves, you and the whole relationship. Just take them down. Just take them down. All right, Jessica Addison.
I would say to just honor the humility of a relationship. Like we're all human, we all make mistakes. Not put anybody on a pedestal, like you said, because when you do that and your expectations are like so high, you're setting up their failure and your disappointment. And you're like, oh, I did not know you could fly. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you could walk on water. No, well, that's the pedestal you put them on.
Right.
That's just you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Because everybody is good and everybody's bad, you know? Like, and so just keeping that in mind in relationships. So, okay. All right, people, that's it for today. Y'all have a great day. Thank you, ladies, for being patient while I take these shoes. And have a great day. Bye.